Cheers.
Lee and Cheryl have a dream: to move to Spain and start a snail farm.
So you can see him, he's giving it one.
After nearly 4 years of trying unsuccessfully to buy somewhere,
Imagine carrying 500 bricks down here.
they rented an apartment near Marbella, from which they were then going to look for the perfect property. The move, though, was a disaster.
No, it's been peeing down with rain for 3 days. We haven't been out.
I can't get any of the wash and dry because there's nowhere to dry it. He won't let me go down the laundrette because it costs €6.
I'm so unhappy, and I'm unhappy being with you.
Oh,
You've
well,
got
thank you. That's fine.
I really don't believe this is happening to me.
Just take him out.
When your tablets went up,
Oh, will you get him out of here?
got until I walk to the van and I'm off. I mean it.
Then what?
After 3 days of constant arguing, Lee stormed out to drive back to England, leaving Cheryl destitute on the Costa del Sol.
Would you believe it? The sun's come out.
With the storm clouds drifting back out to sea and the sun re-established in its accustomed spot in the skies over Marbella, Cheryl is alone with the dogs. She doesn't know whether to try and stick it out here or give up and go back to Wales. But either way, it looks like this time it really is the end of the road for her and Lee.
I haven't told a lie, and he knows I never will. He knows that's one thing. Whatever I say, I always tell the truth. So even when he's a real to me, I'll still admit that I love him. When he tells stupid rubbish things like he never wants to see me again, all this and he comes back, I can't be arsed with all of that. So everything I've said is true. So I can live with myself. I'm just gonna do it on my own.
But, as it turns out, she doesn't. Soon after the storm has finally blown itself out, Lee's red van comes rolling back into town.
I come back, I've got some money for you.
Oh. Yeah?
Well, you wanted some money, you needed some money.
Well, I'm potless. What do you
You're
expect
not
me to
potless,
do?
There's some money, I promised I'd give you some money.
Oh, right. Whoopee. Thank you. That'll last me.
Well, that's all the machine
A couple of trips
would let...
down the laundrette and that'll do it.
That's all the...
All right, thank you. Right. What?
Nothing.
What?
Nothing. Well, you know why I come back?
Yeah, to give you the money and to try and get the dogs back again.
No, I come back to say sorry. I'm sorry for what I said, and I'm sorry... Right? You know I love you, really.
Yeah, I've got to put up with a lot of though, haven't I?
Well, so have I.
Is it all right if we come in?
Of course you can. Oh, the Wanderer's returned. Don't worry, he's back again. Like a bad penny.
Oh, it's all the pressure, Mark. It's like you wouldn't believe, you would not believe. I think it's been cooped up in here in the rain and not knowing where we're going next and what we're doing, and it's getting to us both a bit.
Yeah.
So...
Well, you came back, Cheryl, at least.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
brought some money.
And he brought some money.
So you got money out of it?
Yeah, I got money. There you go. So I'll go down the laundrette tomorrow and dry all my washing.
Yeah, that's all
Well, that'll
she
be a
wants me...
start.
Well, that's all you want me...
As usual with Lee and Cheryl, once they start laughing, everything's all right again. And despite the trauma Lee has put her through, Cheryl is quick to forgive.
You just want everything to happen yesterday and it isn't going to, and you just got to slow down a bit. Things, you know, things take a little bit longer to happen anyway over here, and you just... It's hard for you because you're always on the go.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So many people have told you you've got to try and chill out.
It's the following day, and Lee and Cheryl have woken up convinced that the biggest obstacle to chilling out is the Marbella apartment. So they've called an English estate agent and asked him to find them a more rural property. He's taking them high into the hills east of Malaga, where property is remote and relatively cheap. But the previous night in Marbella has taken its toll on Lee and Cheryl.
I didn't get any sleep last night, hardly at all, because somebody who lives in the apartment must have a nighttime job and wears clumpy shoes and clumps up and down the stairs a lot in the middle of the night. The rubbish men came about midnight and emptied the rubbish. Cars going up and down all night, and then somebody upstairs was ill because an ambulance came. So they were banging and crashing outside, so...
So, after very little sleep, tempers are not much improved by a long drive into the mountains on wet roads.
That was hard work driving up here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Didn't like the drive.
Not much, no.
Perched on a hillside in a tiny village 10 minutes from Lake Vinuela, the Casa Bermuza is a marked contrast to the Marbella apartment.
So you got your parking and private gates, so it's all fenced in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Right. There's about...
This is only Tim's second season as an estate agent in Spain, and he doesn't have a huge portfolio of properties yet. But for Lee and Cheryl, he has one enormous advantage over the locals. He speaks a language they understand.
This is the cheapest property I have.
Right.
Books.
Oh, this is
very
bad.
nice. Open fireplace, very Spanish, a bit old.
This is what we're looking for, something like this, you
Yeah.
know. The only thing that puts me off a little bit is the drive up here.
Drive.
Yeah.
The 2 bedrooms at the back, which is quite common in the Spanish design.
Yeah.
Keeps it nice and cool in the summer.
There's a double bed anyway.
And then through here, the twin room.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This is, yeah, fine. We've got a bedroom each at the moment, so...
The property also boasts a mature citrus orchard and 1,000 square metres of garden, well fenced off for the dogs. So it seems to be just what Lee and Cheryl are looking for.
And this is available like 11 months and up to 2-3 years.
All right.
It was just,
Yeah.
it's just the access route, Tim, that, you know, the dogs.
But the thing is, up this area, that is what you get, isn't it? Those type of roads.
You know, it's rural,
Yeah.
mountains. You're not going to get straight roads.
No. You can't have
You
it
can't
all.
have it all. That's it. You said it, Sharon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you were talking to me this morning now, you showed me jobs in the
Because I was listening to what you were saying yesterday. You wanted something to do, etc.
What sort of job did you do back in England?
Well,
we're
what he
not-
came out here for was to start a snail farm, but it won't be straight away.
I know a situation where there is a snail farm existing at the moment. which
Well,
I
for
could do.
rent?
It's not for rent that I know of, but I know where there is a snail farm. It's got all the blocks, isn't it, on the floor?
Round here.
It's further up the mountain, yeah. As far as I know, they're not using it. It was used.
They're not using it.
Yeah.
Sensing a sympathetic ear, Lee launches into the full ins and outs of his money-making scheme to the somewhat bemused Tim.
The other idea, I was going to do worms. You know, the worms were for a different thing, for fishing, because they freeze-dry them for...
That's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting.
They freeze-dry them for fish food, you see, the worms. So you get the rubbish you get left from the snails goes into the worms.
Yeah.
They turn it into fertiliser, and then worm pea, believe it or not, and snail pea is worth its weight in gold.
Is it?
Like food.
Yeah, like caviar then?
That's right. Well, snail eggs, you can turn into caviar.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So the mission for Tim has suddenly changed. At the first mention of snails, Lee and Cheryl have asked him to now concentrate on helping to realise their long-term plan, the one that brought them to Spain in the first place.
Well, they've explained to me they've been on this journey for 3.5, 4 years. I hope at the end of it they find their destination and find the place that they've been looking for.
So do I.
Yeah, we're just going up to the snail farm now.
Lee and Cheryl have always presumed that optimism and enthusiasm would be enough to run a snail farm. But it didn't seem to work for the owners of this one. All that's left of someone else's dream is a pile of bricks.
I wasn't going to do it like this, you see. I was going to make cages covered in mesh.
But this is the way Fernando did it. That was how it used to be, like that, wasn't it? Going in rows like that.
A maze.
It's a beautiful piece of land.
Yeah, it's absolutely
And
perfect.
as you say, it's just the right size.
But now they need to find out if the owner will rent it out.
Just only ask him if he wants to rent it.
For doing the same thing that he wanted.
Exactly.
You know, so he couldn't object to that, could he?
I can't think of anything more ideal myself, actually.
And Lee's also wondering if he might have stumbled onto the snaily business partner he's always been looking for.
Come with us. He might want to be in with us because he was doing it in the beginning.
He'll have the Spanish contact.
Of course.
Yeah, that's true.
He must have lost interest in it, was it? Oh.
The man who will probably know most about why the snail farm failed is the next-door neighbour. And this really is beginning to turn out to be Lee's lucky day. Michael is another Englishman.
I was a bit alarmed when they first started putting these concrete blocks here because all the locals, first of all, told me they were going to build an abattoir there. And then they said there was going to be a block of flats just to cheer me up. So eventually when they did put snails there, I was quite relieved because they don't make a lot of noise, you know, and apart from
Right, yeah, they're very
excursions
quiet, yeah.
into my garden, they really went too much trouble. But they were there for about a year. And then we had this very, very hot weather, and I don't think they watered them, whatever you do with snails. I think they need to be... They probably have liked it now. They'd have loved it now.
Yeah, they would.
But sadly, they are all
that's what
gone to the
they
great
all do.
snail farm in the sky.
Oh, well, that answered the question then, didn't it?
Yeah.
But they were for the export market. That was the idea. They were supposed to be exported to France or something. But these never got any farther than the end of the road.
Because they didn't get watered.
So
Oh, well, a sad story.
It is a
wasn't
sad
a good
story.
idea. Not a good idea at all.
So you said the owner he doesn't want to sell the land, does he?
He won't sell it.
But he
No,
might be interested
he's
in
acquisitive. He's like the royal family. They don't sell land. And this is his ground here too.
Right.
But it could be a possibility that he wanted to
Rent
rent it
it.
out.
Well,
For the
he
same
might.
use that he wanted.
He might. And but I suppose it would depend what you wanted to do with it. I mean, if you
Snails.
Snail farm, as it is now.
Yeah.
Snails, yeah. Well, I'll he'll be up at the weekend, I imagine. He'll be up
Right.
this weekend, and I'll give him your card and ask him to ring you. He doesn't speak any English at all, so you'll enjoy yourself.
Well, I better look at the word for snails in Spanish then, hadn't I?
Caracoles. Caracoles.
We already know that, yeah, caracoles.
Yeah. If I see him this weekend, then I will do as I said I would do, and if I don't see him, then it'll be next weekend, and I'll still do it.
All right. Well,
we're
we're coming to the area anyway, so it's
okay. Well, you know where I live. Give me,
All right.
give me a bell. Get Tim to give you my number.
Thank you very much.
All right.
All right.
Get back.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Bye-bye. On hound.
Tim then suggested that the dogs be left in the van while everybody piled into his four-wheel drive. Having successfully conjured up a snail farm, Tim now has another surprise up his sleeve. He knows that if Lee and Cheryl rent the farm, they'll need a home nearby. They've also told him that they harbour a secret yearning to live in a log cabin. At the end of this track is Tim's brand new log cabin. And next door are plots he intends to construct more cabins on. After 4 years of searching, have Lee and Cheryl finally got lucky? Ever since they first heard about them, Lee and Cheryl have wanted to live in a prefabricated log cabin, something like this one.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
It's the sort of thing we wanted, but it's a little bit grander than
Didn't want one that big.
I mean, this was all extra, all this decking.
all this, yeah.
Tim is living in this one himself, but he's thinking of constructing several more nearby. The designs available range from 2-room chalets to 15-bedroom mansions, and prices start at around €40,000, which is about £28,000.
This is exactly what Cheryl wanted. Or
Oh, it
wants.
is.
Yeah.
It really is.
So we've got 2 bedrooms upstairs.
Inside each basic shell, the interiors can be individually customised into almost any configuration of rooms.
You
I want
wanted, wasn't
carpet,
it?
you see, but
Yeah.
Cheryl doesn't want
Lee
carpet.
wanted carpet.
Because they're classified as temporary structures, normal Spanish planning regulations don't apply. And the advertisements claim they can be constructed on an unprepared site in less than a month.
It's the quickest option for us to get a home over here. I mean, you know, we've been told we can get it put up in 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
well, that's what I was told. And it took
And how
3.5
long did it
months.
take? Yeah, that's
But
more
that's
like
Spain.
it, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
that's more like
Yana,
it. Yeah.
you don't come out to relax, to, you know, sit into the easy life without everything being done relaxed and easy around you.
Yeah,
So-
this is
Comes
the
hand in
problem
hand.
with him because he's not used to that. I mean, obviously we've only been here permanently for a few days, but
Yeah, I mean, it can be very frustrating.
he does get a little bit uptight.
Whether it's the log cabin here or the snail farm down the road, Cheryl is getting increasingly excited. When Tim shows them the adjacent field where he plans to construct more log cabins, she can contain herself no longer.
I would like that plot there. Yeah, I really would. That would be perfect.
Well,
Is it feasible, Tim?
obviously it depends. Some negotiations might have to be done, and also permissions passed. But if it does come available, then I'll get in touch straight away.
Is it possible that after one drizzly morning, which began so unpromisingly, Lee and Cheryl's luck may be about to turn?
Well, we've come here this morning looking for and met Tim with
Just looking for an apartment or
an
a
apartment
villa
and
to
somewhere
rent.
to rent, and
Found a snail
we
farm.
found yeah, this is it,
And a wooden house.
and a wooden house.
Yeah, which is exactly what we wanted before we even came over. We wanted a wooden house and a snail farm.
I'm a lot happier than I was this time yesterday, and perhaps, I don't know, it's just, you can see a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, perhaps, so.
And Cheryl, I'm very surprised to find Lee still here.
Yeah, actually, I was surprised that he left in the first place, but even more surprised that he's still here now.
I only came back to bring you some money.
Oh, here we go.
And I love you.
All a flannel.
There you go.
Nobody else would put up with you, you know that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Exactly.
But the next morning in Marbella, the light at the end of the tunnel is immediately snuffed out. All the excitement of yesterday is forgotten when they receive a phone call that Lee has been dreading. His grandmother has become seriously ill, and he's been advised to take the next available flight back to Wales. Cheryl packs his bag while Lee says his goodbyes to the dogs. He arrived in time, but only just. Lee was closer to his grandmother than any other member of his family, and it was some small consolation that at least he returned in time to say goodbye. 2.5 hours after he arrived, her 102-year-old heart finally stopped. When you live to such a great age, the chances are that all your friends will have had their own funerals long ago, and the attendance is sparse. But Lee's best friend, Ken the car, is here.
Anne was on about what you were in the Ironman, I think, in the end.
Yeah, until she was 80.
They don't make them like Nan anymore.
No.
She's up there now organising them all.
Well, good for her.
Lee is understandably upset, but in part he's suffering guilt for leaving his grandmother back here in Wales.
We're going on holiday tomorrow. So I'll be back to see you in a couple of weeks, all right? And you'll be all right, because I've got lots of magazine. And I'll see you in a fortnight, okay?
People often say that it's easier to accept the death of a loved one when they've had an especially long life. But this cannot always be true. Even though we might be relieved that Edna is now free of her troubles, the fact is that we can no longer go and spend time with her. So whether you find yourselves crying or laughing today with some of the memories that you have, try not to feel guilty, because it's all a sign of how much you loved her and love her still. I believe that love is the most durable substance known to humankind. It can put up with almost anything, and it's love that makes us human. Heavenly Father, you are our refuge and strength. Help and comfort us today. Increase our faith, dispel our fears. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. We commend to your merciful keeping Edna May Tripp, our sister.
A month later, and Lee and Cheryl are back in Spain. Keen to put the sadness of the past few weeks behind them, they've come to pursue the abandoned snail farm that Tim had shown them near Vinuela.
How you doing? You all right? Give me a kiss. All right. Good to be back.
Super, yeah. We had a bit of trauma, but we're ready to go now. So.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about your grandmother.
Hey, well, she's 102, so she had a...
She had a good innings.
Yeah.
But now we're on the case now,
Yeah.
so
Here we
okay.
go.
the snail farm.
The snail farm that we saw towards Fentalti, yeah? We have been trying over the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks to confer with the owner, and unfortunately he's not prepared to rent it out.
I think Michael might have a bit to do with that because he thinks they're going to escape and eat all his flowers.
Flowers and things.
Well,
Yeah.
it could be.
There's I think I got that impression when we went
we
there
were
that he
there.
wasn't too keen on a snail farm next to us.
Sure. But don't worry about it.
You're still on the case
Yeah,
then?
I've got it all in hand, and we're going to try and find somewhere
somewhere.
suitable.
Rock on, Tommy.
That's great.
All right.
Until now, Lee and Cheryl's reaction to setbacks like this has tended to be deep gloom, usually followed by a raging argument. But this time they seem to have a new perspective on their move to Spain.
Thanks ever so much.
See you again.
All right.
Bye bye.
Right, take care, yeah?
Cheers.
Bye bye.
Okay.
See you
Cheers.
again.
Bye-bye, Helen. Bye-bye.
It's very sad, but it's because of Gran. We both were very close to her, and we didn't want to, leave her behind, sort of thing. And now she's gone, there isn't anything to hold us back. And as Lee always says, now she's up there on our side. So we got an extra helper pushing us along.
In the next programme, with Gran on their side and the whole of Spain to choose from, the first thing they consider buying is a cave in Almeria.
So the only problem is, like I said, it's dark.
Lee, of course, likes it.
This is amazing, it really is. I think it's brilliant, actually.
Here we go again.
Then there's a ruin. He likes this too.
I think this is rather attractive.
Do you want to come upstairs?
Yeah. This is terrific.
But finally, high in the hills of Latakia, they find a couple with a plot to sell.
How do you do? Nice to meet you.
And this time, Cheryl likes it.
Well, I think it's fantastic.
I think it's superb.
Really fantastic.
And with a handshake, a deal is done.
Let's get Spanish.
Whoa, Ray!